friends, it's Sarah, the owner and maker behind Multifarious Nature. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are a new viewer, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, a big welcome back. I'm glad you guys are here for another episode. Yeah, lots of fun things to talk about. Not a super long video, I don't think, but we will see how it goes. I had a really good day today, so I'm feeling really good, and yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day too. And I've been doing something daily where I write down things that I am grateful for. So I guess a gratitude list of sorts. So I would love to hear from you guys something that you are grateful for that happened to you today. Or when I say today, like whatever day that you're watching this, if you want to share in the comments something that you are grateful for, I would love to hear what you're grateful for too. Okay, so we're going to talk about what I'm working on right now. And no finished objects today, but I do have some works in progress, and one of those works in progress is a little bit of another spinning end of things, and I'm using it for a project that I'm currently working on, so it's super fun. So I'll talk about that one second. The first one I'm going to talk about, so I worked on two projects really this week, and one I worked on just a little bit. I'm almost done, so I really should just keep working on it, because I really want to. I also got kind of sucked into my new shiny object project. I think that's common for a lot of us. All right, so this is my 2 at a time socks. The pattern is, I wrote this all down. I wrote it down. Let me see. I swear I wrote it down. I had wrote it down. Oops. Wrong page. Okay, it's okay. No worries. It's by Patricia Campbell, 2 at a time socks. And I am using yarn from my Advent, Multifarious Nature Advent from last year, 2023. And it is the second set or third set. Maybe the third set. It's Silent Night is the colorway. Really beautiful, speckled, and you get some nice dark red speckles and this teal color and like teal speckling. And some lighter, because it's kind of a tonal teal all over. And then the contrast color is this light, kind of a taupe, and that comes with it. It's a sock set for each Sunday of Advent. And you can see this one in particular, I really have quite a gap here. So I just close that up when I weave in the ends, and I think that will work. So this one, I decided to do the heels before I finished the length of the sock. So the 2 at a time sock patterns, I'm pretty sure it's a free pattern. It is a free pattern. It's free. It's still free. Last time I checked, it was free. You just knit like a tube. Knit a long tube, you do it 2 at a time, and then you go back and you knit each individual heel at a time. But I've never done the 2 at a time socks with, or like this heel style and everything with a mini, a contrasting mini. And so I just didn't know how much it takes, because the ribbing is like 2 inches that you're supposed to do. So I started the ribbing with the main color, and then I'm doing the gray, and I'm kind of monitoring it. So I split each of the balls in half. And of course, in half is not perfectly in half. One is a little bit bigger. Try your best with a scale, but it's always a little tricky to get it completely accurate. So I'm trying to get equal amounts of this color added, and then I will, if I need to do more, I will do more with the main color. But I think I'm a little over 1 inch right now, and I really think I probably can do the full 2 inches of ribbing. No problem with the 20 gram mini skein contrast color. Super easy, vanilla sock, a lot of fun. I am just addicted to 2 at a time socks this way. Doing that, basically you're doing like a magic loop. It's just, there is something so rewarding about because really, until you have both your socks done, it's not a fully finished object, in a sense that you can't really, you won't, I mean, you can, but why would you wear your socks if you don't have the other one done? So it's so rewarding, because when you finish, you have both your socks done. and it's just so nice. So definitely recommend trying that pattern if you haven't. I still have to watch that video about, there's a video, I cannot remember the designer that made the video. It's in, excuse me, it was recommended in one of the comments on a prior video, I think it's like 2 videos back or so. And she recommended watching the video where this lady uses, I guess, it's a trick by using a button, and you can actually knit from 1 ball of yarn, which is fascinating to me, very intriguing. Because I've always been told, don't do it, like always split your ball of yarn in 2, save yourself the headache. But I have to say, I'm quite intrigued to try with the button. So my goal is to watch that video, so the next pair of socks that I cast on, because I think I'm always going to have a pair of socks on the needles now. I just feel like it's so easy. It's a great project when you're on the go, when you're doing things, you just knit, 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 and it's so wonderful. And I really think that this will be super, super helpful to have that on the go all the time. So if I can figure out how to do it with the button, then I don't have to divide it, which would mean I can use up more yarn evenly, if that makes sense. So in other words, I'm not dividing into 2 balls and then I have 2 little balls as remainder. I'll just have whatever I have left. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. Okay, so that is that one. Enjoying it so much. And working out of my one and only little Joji Locatelli's. It's a Joji and Co. bag that I got as a de-stash from Addie from Ruby and Rose's yarn. She was de-stashing. So I added a few of my buttons on here, and she had a few on there. So it's super fun. And it's just so festive looking and fun. I just love it. It makes me feel very girly. And it's awesome. Okay, so this is the project I've been working on the most, and I am loving it so much. So I have yet to try it on, and I really need to do that. So the disclaimer is I was a really bad knitter when it comes to, I don't really follow the rules sometimes, and I'm terrible about doing swatches, and it's pretty important to do a swatch when you're doing a garment. Some iced coffee. Decaf, because it's the afternoon. I mean, I'd like people to sleep tonight. We'll see how that goes. Guys, it is, and it's all over color work. So I'm really risking causing problems here. So, and it's using handspun. Okay, I really need to try this. The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, all right. So the pattern is Andrew Mowry's new framed sweater. I'm joining the knit along, the framed Cal. It's on Ravelry. I know she's got an Instagram. She has tons of ways you can join. I'm primarily doing it through Ravelry, but I mean, you can do anything that your heart desires. There's communication all over the place, and it's just fun. I've done a knit along with Andrea's group before, and it's a lot of fun. I usually I've done a spin it to knit along, and I did her DRK Everyday Socks, and that was a lot of fun. So this one, I am doing another spin along basically for myself. It's a knit along is what she's running, but I'm doing a spinning. So, so you kind of know what I'm talking about, because you probably think, what are you talking about? So I'm using Crazy Yarn as one of the contrast colors. And then I am using my newer colorway that is currently not in the shop yet. And it's Cherry Hill. Super pretty red. I love it. It is so cozy and vibrant. This is This is my kind of fun red. If you're looking for a really warm, vibrant red, it's like the perfect red. I feel like it's so pretty. So this is Cherry Hill, and it will be coming to the shop this fall. So keep your eyes peeled for that. All right. So, a crazy yarn, if you're not familiar with it. Oops, dropped some stitches. Bear with me a hot minute while I pick up my stitches. Okay. I think I did that right. We will see later. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I did that right because I dropped a stitch marker. It's all good, guys. I will figure it out. See, 1, 2. Ooh, there we go. That's where my stitch marker was. I don't know. We're going to put that there and call it good. I'm not sure. Okay. We will address this. Oh my gosh. I can't be helped sometimes, you guys. I just go with it. Okay. There. I think that's where the stitch... I will check this stitch marker. So basically what I did, and this is not in the pattern, but I put markers between the repeats, and that is a really nice way of keeping track of your repeats so that you don't mess things up. So I am using, as the other, like basically in my opinion, like the main color, I don't know, I think the main color is the framed color, which is the color of my Cherry Hill. But the body, other, I guess, contrast color that I am using handspun. And I'm using a CVM fleece, so it lends itself towards a gray. It's basically a gray. If you're not familiar with CVM fleeces, that's a California variegated mutant, and they tend to be basically like a variegated sheep. When you look at them, they have different colors kind of all over. And so when you spin their wool, it tends to do this and become like a gray for the most part. They may lean darker gray, lighter gray. So part of what I did this week is I finished spinning another skein, which is good because I need more. All right, so this is why this is going to be an interesting experiment. So the first skein that I did was a mini, like a sample, and it definitely lends itself closer to like a light worsted. It's worsted spun, but it's like a light worsted, probably more of a sport weight. I would definitely say it's lending towards a sport weight yarn. Well, this was the second skein that I did. I'd say it lends itself closer to a fingering. When I did the yardage count on it, it is like a legitimate fingering weight skein of yarn. Like this, the yardage on this baby matches the yardage in my hand-dyed yarn that is fingering weight. So I was like, well, shoot. Yeah, so this skein, I'm probably gonna have to hold double. This is gonna get a little interesting, I think. And then this one, I think I actually nailed it with the worsted weight. I think that is definitely more of a worsted spun, worsted weight. And this is my third skein, so I'm getting better. Getting a little more consistent too, and of course every single one is a little different. They're all gray, but it just depends on what fiber from the fleece that I grab. I try to grab, you know, similar, but it varies. So, but here you go. So that is what I worked on this past week. And it's so fluffy and squishy. I really have been enjoying spinning, I guess you consider it in the grease. I did scour this fleece, but CVM is definitely known for having lanolin. And I did not intensely scour it. I always like to leave some lanolin. And so I'm really excited to work with some of these fleeces that I got recently that I'm doing the Suint, S-U-I-N-T method of cleaning, and those all have their lanolin. So it's basically removed the dirt and icky bits, but it does not remove the lanolin. So I'm really excited about that because it keeps that like water resistance to your wool, and then it also it keeps it moisturized and protected. So I love leaving lanolin in my wool to an extent. Like, obviously I don't want a lot of it, but I do like having some in there. And I know I don't know, that might be controversial to some. I like it. I know a lot of sweaters, I think overseas, I'm pretty sure a lot of the fishermen sweaters tend to have lanolin in them, and lanolin can't be that controversial because most wool wash has lanolin in it. So, I don't know. I love it. If you have an issue with lanolin in your wool, let me know below. I know some people do have sensitivities to it, I think. I've heard that at least. But I haven't found any sensitivity. I absolutely love it. My hands feel so good after spinning it. And then, of course, dealing with my sheepies alone, we have 3 Shetland sheep, and they're so soft. And I love just getting my hands in their wool. And then when I'm done, like, my hands have nice lanolin on them. It feels so good. All right, so back to the actual project. Yeah, it's all over color work. And like I said, I've got some yarn that's kind of like light worsted, and then I've got sport weight. I didn't know if I mentioned that. So the crazy yarn is sport weight. That's what they say. They call it sport weight. So I really, and I keep dropping these stitch marker. Oh my goodness. I really should probably try this on just so I can see if it's actually going to fit properly, because that's a lot. It'll be a lot of color work if it doesn't fit. So I have those like try-on cords, and I think I'm gonna have to do that just to see. I mean, this is a very small circular. I think it's a 32-inch. Yeah, it's probably a 32-inch, and so there's a lot of bunching going on. So it's just really hard to tell like how big this is actually going to be without pulling it absolutely off of the needles, which I keep doing. So we will see. I hope it'll be good. I love the way it's looking so far. I mean, primarily it's this kind of a peachy color with a darker brown, and then down here was more of like a blue and like kind of that brown color, like a gray brown. Actually, it's gray. It's more gray than it is brown, and it's kind of with that peachy color, and then it's going to go into black and the peach, and then it goes into black. So that'll be a much harsh, like more of a harsh contrast when I get to the black, where right now it's kind of, it plays with that. It's hard to see the patterning. Now I do know too, when this is blocked, it's going to help relax that a little bit, and I think it will show the pattern a lot more, that's for sure. But yeah, I really need to try this. I think it will be fine, but yeah, I think I need to just try it on. If anything, I think I need to put it on those barber cords and then put it against one of my favorite fitting sweaters, just so I can see how it fits to that, because it's hard to try on a bottom up sweater. It really is. But if I put it against another sweater that I like to wear, that would be a really good indicator of how it will fit. But you do have to remember with color work, this is a big difference. It's the same with like color work socks. That color work doesn't stretch like your all over regular. I mean, it stretches a little, but it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have a lot of give. You definitely want to do, I know Andrew mentioned this, Andrew Murray. She mentions that you pull your stitches like this when you're knitting with a new color and stuff, just so that you're not getting it bunching and getting, like, you can see a little bit of bunching here, but I'm constantly pulling it, so I think we'll be okay once it gets washed. But it is just, it's always interesting doing color work, and especially when you're using hand spun as well. Like, I am just making this a very interesting project for myself. I love it. I love knitting with hand spun. It is such a treat. And then knitting with that, and it has the lanolin in it, and then, you know, knitting with all these fun colors. And my hand dyed, which is on an alpaca base. So I've got CVM, I have merino, and then I have alpaca, 20% superfine alpaca, 60% merino, and 20% nylon. He'll double. So I'm just having a lot of fun with this. So I guess I'm hitting stash, which is huge, on 2 levels, because the CVM is a stashed fleece that I had. That fleece I got from the Michigan Fiber Festival last year, which I'm really excited to go to the Fiber Festival this year. I don't know how much I'll be buying. I know I'll buy some things. It's hard for me not to. I love supporting small businesses. And when you go there and you're surrounded by fiber and everything, it's hard not to buy something. But I really don't need any more fleeces because, oh my goodness, you guys. Yeah, but I'm really loving it. I'm enjoying working with it. I've got some really good ideas of ways I might be able to do something for the shop with it. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, a lot of exciting things in the future. It's just, getting there. I got to test my theories and see how it works. But yeah, very, very excited. And yeah, the yardage. I didn't tell you the yardage of this. So this spun up 2-ply and I got 270 yards. So this was 270. This other skein was like 400, and I wrote it down somewhere. Like 436, I think. So like this is fingering, this is worsted. I mean, it's almost half. So yeah, this is where it should be. But that's okay, it's a learning experience. So definitely had a lot of fun with that. I'm trying to get better about labeling my hand spun. I'm really, really, really bad about it. I write up the label, like I get my yardage, I put my 2-ply woolen spun, but I'm really, really, really bad about attaching it to the skein because at the moment I keep using my hand spun right away, which is fine and that's great and all, but then I don't remember like how much yardage I actually had, so I really need to do that. I need to get better about that. I will. So yeah, so that is it for like the works in progress end of things. As far as life update goes, I can talk a little bit about some of that. Whoa. Okay. So I have, as I mentioned, I got a bunch of fleeces, so a significant amount. And some of them are, they're going to take a lot of work to process, which is why they were reasonably priced. And by reasonable, I mean they were darn right. Yeah, they were designed to be used in the garden, basically, at this point. They're like, yeah, nobody's gonna want to work with this. Nobody's gonna go through this and do all the work it would take to get it so that you'd want to spin it. Yeah. But you know who's crazy enough to do that? This girl. You know, sometimes you have moments in your life and you just need to do something that takes forever. I know you guys understand. If you're a knitter, crocheter, if you like to weave, these are projects that take time. These are things that aren't going to be fast. So I know you understand. So I am washing these. I'm pretty much washing one a day for the most part. I'm a little inconsistent. I try my best, but there are days where it just does not happen. Like today, you know what? Who am I kidding? I'm probably going to. I'm probably going to wash one, and which means that I should have taken the one that I washed yesterday and put it in the driveway to dry right now. Oh well. Yeah, hindsight and all that good stuff. But yeah, so I'm using that, like I said, Sunt method where I'm soaking them because they're pretty dirty. So I'm soaking them. And as I mentioned in another episode, the fleeces are Suffolk, which I've never worked with. Polypay, I've never worked with. And yeah, I think that's it. And then the one that I got a couple fleeces of, they did mention they might be like Suffolk Katahdin mix, which after I looked at the fleeces more, I could definitely see some of them were mixed. And the reason I say that is that you really can see the guard hairs in the fleece, which to me probably came from the Katahdin, because Katahdin is a hair sheep, and it's not something that you're going to want to spin into like a garment. I mean, it's just not going to be fun. So that'll be interesting to process, that fleece. I think that fleece is going to be one that I might lose my mind over, but they're really pretty. Those fleeces are like multicolored, so I don't know. I really am my worst enemy, and a lot of it is because I like the process, and I like transforming something from rough to workable. So it's always interesting. So this CVM fleece was actually pretty darn nice. You know, it was just dirty, like typical dirty. So that was no big deal. But these fleeces are pretty darn dirty. And they had, I mean, they weren't skirted at all. I'm going to be real. These were not skirted at all. So I had some serious removal of creepy bits that I had to take off. Not a big deal. It wasn't like they hid this from me. And then there was, and of course there were garbage fleece. So I'm going to tell you there were garbage fleece. So there was a bag, one of these that I purchased, they were Polypay, and there were like 5 bags, and one of the bags was an actual garbage bag. The others were like mesh, and so air can breathe. But the one that was a garbage bag, I think the fleece might have been damp when they put it in there because it was starting to mildew, and that is no bueno. You are not going to want to use that to spin with. It's not worth cleaning it. So that fleece directly into the garden. I was like, that one is not going to be something I deal with. So that went straight to the garden as well as the creepy bits. But otherwise, I am scouring them, and it is shocking. Okay, so I'm talking to this now where I have washed probably... This is going to tell you how many fleeces I got, and I mean, you know, I'm not going to lie. I went a little crazy, but I didn't know how many fleeces there were. I just went with the bags, and the price was definitely right. Like, based on the price, if I got 1 fleece per bag, that would have been a good deal. And I got a lot more than that. So, like, the suet baths, I have 2 going at a time, and that way I can do 1 fleece, and while 1 fleece is soaking, the other fleece I am washing. I've done at least like 5 fleeces in each, I'd say, by this point. So these suet baths they've been cooking. They've been cooking. And I am not going to sugarcoat this. I've heard people say that if you are sensitive to smell, like offensive smells, you won't want to do this. And I guess, yeah, that I'd say that's very true. It's pretty funky. We're not gonna hide it. It's pretty funky. Like it's I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this. It's kind of sewer like. It's a little sewer like. It's pretty funky. But that being said, and it's still hard work. Like when I remove it, you don't remove it all at once. Like that doesn't work. That doesn't work. I mean, maybe some people do that. I would not do that. I break it apart in chunks, and then I squeeze out as much of that disgusting, dirty, soapy water as possible, and then I put it into a rinse. It's gotten so bad now, like stink-wise, that I do Rory baby. Sorry, my dog's losing her mind. She's getting worse the older she gets, and I don't know if she can't see as well or she just gets startled by birds, and hopefully you're not hearing that yelling, but you probably are because she's being really loud. Anyway, and she's growling. It's really obnoxious. Okay. Anyway, suet bath. So after I rinse it once, I'm actually rinsing it a second time. I definitely see that being helpful because primarily it's once it dries, then the stink goes away. You just need it to dry for the stink to go away. But it literally takes that to happen. So it's taken a bit for it to dry, and is extremely distracting for me if you can't tell. Anyway, yeah. So while it's still wet, it's gonna have a little funk. It's gonna have a little funk to it. But as long as it dries, it's amazing. It's like night and day. Once that fleece dries, it smells so good. Okay, I don't edit these videos, so I'm going to see if I can get her to be quiet. Hold on, guys. She's gonna. I think she just hears me, and that's why she's. That's why she's being the way she is. Okay. Sorry. Maybe now that she can see me, she won't be so loud and obnoxious. This is Rory. This is the yeller. Hi, Rory. Say hi. She doesn't want to say hi. And then Maverick, of course. Anyway, back to what I was saying. It takes, Rory, come here, honey. It takes 2 rinses, and that will definitely get a lot of that stink out and the dirty stuff. And that helps a lot. But once it dries, it's so much better. It doesn't stink at all. It just smells like sheep wool. It's amazing. It smells like lanolin. It's so good. But in order to get to that point where it's like that, you gotta deal with some stank. It is not. She's not pleasant. And I wear gloves. And you should wear gloves. I know I think there are people saying you don't have to wear gloves, but I think you should always wear gloves because these fleece that I'm dealing with, like I said, there's a lot of vegetable matter in these. Like there's some of these I'm gonna have to work pretty hard. If it's gonna be something that I'm going to do woolen spun, I'm going to actually have to probably comb them first to get a bunch of that vegetable matter out. Rory, honey, I'm gonna have to do a bunch of that before I can spin it or put it on the drum carder. So anyway, sorry, my dog is losing her mind. I have no idea. Rory, what are you doing, honey? If anyone has dogs, I'm sure you understand. But if you don't have dogs, I'm sorry. Anyway, so yeah, the life update end of things is I've been washing a lot of the fleeces. That has been added to my chore list every day, basically, is washing a fleece. And it takes me about, I'd say, 40 minutes to an hour to rinse it and then, yeah, do that. So it's a process. It is a process. And then, yeah, letting it air dry. I have like a rack, like a window. I don't even know. A screen window, there we go. I knew it would come to me eventually. I have one of those that I have it drying on, so it takes a little bit of time to dry. They're pretty saturated, but yeah, once it dries, then I just put it in like a pillowcase, or you want it to be in something that's breathable so that air can go through, because it's really important that your fleece keeps breathing. It's going to retain a little moisture no matter what, because it's like, basically it's a hair, it's wool. And so if you don't let it breathe, you can definitely have issues with moisture and stuff like that. So definitely put it in store any raw wool in a breathable. It's really important. Breathable container. And I guess it's cleaned wool. It's not like raw wool, but yeah, I just think it's safer to keep it in a breathable storage. Yeah, and I am working on moving things into my little studio space. So this is currently like my yarn room here, which the light is coming in and it's kind of blinding at the moment, but this is my little yarn room, and this is primarily where I do a lot of my spinning and knitting and all of that. Well, I'm slowly working on moving some of this. I will eventually move all of it, but at the moment I'm trying to move some things into my little yarn studio, which is a freestanding little house. It's basically like a tiny house, and it has a little porch on it, and it has windows all the way around, so nice air circulation when I open them. They are insulated, and it is an insulated little house, so I need to get a heater so that way in the winter I can have that going because I don't want it to get freezing out there, because if I'm going to be out there, I obviously want heat. And then in the summer, at the moment, I don't have anything, but I just kind of crack the windows, at least where water can't get in. It's a covered porch. So like it has a like 4 foot overhang, cantilever. Um, I would definitely I shut the other windows because rain would come in there if I left them open, but I like having them just cracked just a hair so that way some air can go. They are screened in windows. That is important. I want to make sure that there's not bugs going in there, vermin, or anything. That's like really, really important. There's some carpeting in there that's like all year carpet or all weather carpeting. Really cheap stuff that came with it, but we had some remnant carpet from our old house when we had our carpeting redone just before we sold our house. And so I'm actually gonna take that and see, I think I'll be able to put it in there. So that'll help with insulation as well, because the floor is gonna be kind of chilly otherwise. So yeah, I will put that down, and it's kind of cozy in there right now. I have wool, a lot of wool in there right now. All the fleeces that I have washed are in pillowcases, and they're in there, and it's so much fun. I open the door and it smells like I am cuddling sheep, and not in a dirty sheep way, like clean sheep. And I tell you what, I have been hugging our sheep, and it is the best experience. If you can hug a sheep, which unless they're your sheep, I don't know how you'll be able to hug one because I don't think they'll come up to you like that. They're pretty skittish, but oh my gosh, I hug them and it is the best. They're so warm and soft and they smell so good. So yeah, if you come over and it's ever in the evening, I will smell like sheep and I'm totally fine with that. I don't care. I love it. So that's a lot of fun. Just having Rory, honey. Shh. That's a lot of fun having that little space I mean, I have a little space right now and it's great, but that amount of wool was going to take over this room and that was just insane. And it's going to be really neat to process it, but that will take some time. And so I want to do a lot of that processing outside. And so I can like getting all that veggie matter on the ground instead of on the floor and having to vacuum it, which I can totally do that. In the winter, that's what I would be doing. But doing it out there and cleaning up out there would be just so helpful. And yeah, I'm really excited to do it. And I'm excited to share some of that with you guys too. So as I go through it, we will see. I have some really nice fleeces. So it was an interesting experience because there's a few that are just typical, like they're pretty dirty and they're gonna need a lot of work, and they're probably like the breed standard for like polypay in Suffolk. But there's some that I think were really nice fleeces. A couple of them lend towards probably a yearling. I would say a yearling or a lamb fleece. I think I have at least 2 lamb fleeces and 2 if not 3, and then a yearling fleece, and they're really soft, like super, super soft. And one of the, I think it's polypay. However, I question that because it could be because it's a lamb fleece, but the lock structure looks a little different, and it's a black fleece, so it's really beautiful. And it was in with a bunch of polypay, so I have no idea what it is. It was a mystery fleece. So that one's kind of fun, like a little mystery fleece. It's kind of fun to deal with and super soft. So that one's drying right now, actually. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are making and staying healthy and happy. And yeah, let me know how you're doing and what you're up to. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. Take care. Bye.